I greet you all and welcome you to the strategic management class. Today we're going to study strategy approaches. Strategy approaches. We are going to discuss strategy approaches, and there are several distinct approaches to strategy, each with its own strengths, weaknesses, and applicability depending on the organization's context and goals and the nature of the organization. So in this lesson, we'll discuss 7 strategy approaches. Number 1 is a classical approach. Number 2 is the evolutionary approach. Number 3 is the processual approach. 4, systemic approach. 5, resource-based approach. 6 is the dynamic capabilities approach, and 7 is the real options approach. Those are some of the approaches to strategy. The first one I've said is the classical approach. What is the classical approach all about? Now, this approach emphasizes the rational and the analytical approach or process for strategy formulation, and it involves a thorough analysis of the internal and the external environments, followed by a deliberate and planned approach to strategy development. This approach is often characterized by clear phases of analysis, planning, execution, evaluation, and so on. Analytical. And it is suitable for stable and predictable environments. You understand? That is the classical approach. It is a thorough analysis. It involves a thorough analysis of both internal and external environment. It is a rational and an analytical process for strategy formulation. There are clear phases of analyzing the environment, formulating the strategy, executing the strategy, and so on. And it is ideal for companies operating in environments that are predictable. The second approach is the evolutionary approach. The evolutionary approach is yet another approach, and the approach, this approach views strategy as an emergent process. This approach views strategy as an emergent process that evolves over time in response to changing circumstances. And unlike the classical approach, the evolution approach emphasizes flexibility, adaptability, and learning from experience. Do you understand? And the strategy is well suited for dynamic and unpredictable environment. You recall this one, we say that is suitable for environments that are predictable. Predictable environment. Whereas the evolution approach is suitable or well suited for dynamic and unpredictable. Unpredictable. So a company or an organization that operates in an environment that is highly unpredictable, then it will take an evolutionary approach to strategy. Because this strategy emphasizes flexibility and adaptability and learning from experience. You understand? It views strategy as an emergent process that evolves over time depending on changes in the environment. Three is the processual approach. Processual approach focuses on organizational processes and routines. It focuses on organizational processes and routines that shape strategy. It recognizes that strategy is not solely the result of deliberate planning, but it emerges from interactions and decisions made within the organization. This approach emphasizes the importance of organizational culture. It emphasizes the importance of leadership. It also emphasizes the importance of communication in shaping strategic outcomes. From the word process, we have processual approach. The fourth approach is the systematic approach. The systematic approach to strategy. This one views strategy as embedded. It views strategy as embedded in the wider social and economic system, the broader social and economic system. Systematic approach acknowledges that or acknowledges the influence of the influence of political and institutional factors on strategic choices. And it is particularly relevant in the international business context. It is relevant in the international business context where cultural differences and institutional constraints can significantly impact strategic decisions. So that is the systematic approach. It views strategy as embedded within the broader social and economic systems. Five, resource based approach or view. The resource based view. This approach emphasizes the organization's internal resources and capabilities, the internal capabilities as the primary drivers of competitive advantage. Resource based, these are internal resources. Internal capabilities are the internal or are the main drivers of competitive advantage. The approach focuses on identifying and leveraging the unique resources and the unique competencies within the organization to support the organization's or to create a sustainable competitive advantage. Resource-based view. Resource-based view emphasizes the organization's internal resources and capabilities as the primary drivers of competitive advantage. Because you recall that the purpose of strategy is to distinguish the organization from other organizations, uh, giving it a competitive advantage. And according to this view, the key driver of competitive advantage are the internal resources and capabilities of an organization. That's the point. 6, dynamic capabilities approach. Dynamic capabilities approach. This approach builds on the resource-based view. It builds on the resource-based view and emphasizes the importance of an organization's ability to adapt and also the ability to reconfigure its resources and its capabilities in response to changing market conditions. It highlights the role of innovation, the role of learning, and knowledge management in sustaining competitive advantage in a dynamic environment. So this one builds on resource-based view. The dynamic capabilities approach develops from the resource-based view. Then lastly, we have the real options approach. Real options approach draws on financial option theory and views strategic decisions as options that can be exercised or can be abandoned depending on future uncertainties. This approach, the real options approach, provides a framework for evaluating and also managing. All right? It provides a framework for evaluating and a framework for managing strategic flexibility in the face of uncertainty. So, candidates, these are just a few of the many strategy approaches that are available, and organizations may adapt one, or an organization may adopt a combination of these approaches depending on their specific needs and circumstances. So as we said in the beginning, each strategy has its own merits and its own drawbacks. So it depending on the organization. The organization can have a combination of these approaches in order to meet its needs and circumstances. That's all. Assignment. Strategy approaches. 1. What are the main differences between the classical approach and the evolutionary approach to strategy? 2. How does the systematic approach to strategy account for cultural and societal factors? 3. What are the benefits and drawbacks of adopting an emergent strategy approach? 4. How can the resource-based view of strategy provide sustainable competitive advantage? In our next lesson, we are going to discuss strategic versus tactical decisions. Bye.